Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us here. We This is another installment of Interview with the Experts at the McGee Law Firm. By the way, once we are finished with this will be posted all over our social media, YouTube, Facebook page, so you can show it to other people because I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. And you can also ask us. We can always email you this as well, and you can forward it to friends and family. So we encourage you guys to do that. We're not going to talk about dying and going to the nursing home today, okay, which is good news, right? That's what I normally talk about. But we have Sherri, you pronounce your name, is it Terando?
Yes.
Sherri Terando here with us, who is an expert in travel, okay? So this is a much happier topic than dying and going to the nursing home. Sherri's going to tell us all about her experience as a travel agent, give us lots of great tips. So welcome, Sherri.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
being
having
here.
me.
We really appreciate your time. First, give us a little bit about your background. How long have you been working as a travel agent, and who do you work for?
I've been working in travel for about 4 years right now. And what inspired me to work in travel was actually watching Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown.
Cool.
I was really inspired to all the unique and interesting places that he would travel to. And
Awesome.
I had a lot of friends that said, "You'd be really good at this,"
Yeah.
because I've traveled the world extensively.
So you were prior to becoming a travel agent, you yourself were a prolific traveler.
Correct.
Okay, that's awesome. So that gives you a great perspective on it. And who are you working with?
I work for Expedia Cruises, which is located in Flower Mound. We are a brick and mortar store and we offer a full service travel agency.
Okay, awesome. So you guys are affiliate. I think a lot of us are familiar with Expedia from the website.
Correct.
So this is sort of a subsidiary underneath that. Is
We
that
work
correct?
under the Expedia umbrella.
Okay. And you do have a brick and mortar store.
We do.
That's awesome.
We do.
Is the one you work at the only one in DFW
No,
or multiple?
no, there are multiple locations. Yes.
Okay, awesome. And so let's talk about this. When somebody is setting out to plan a trip, let's say particularly an international trip, what are kind of the first things you think they should be thinking about when they're planning, other than just like, oh, I've heard that's a great place. We all kind of have that in our head, but what are some other practical things that you think people should focus on when they're
Well,
doing that?
first of all, I advise my clients, the first question I ask is your passport current?
Oh yeah,
Because you do not want to travel out of the country without a passport.
yeah.
It's the most universal identification you can have, and
Mm.
especially if you get stranded overseas or you lose your identification.
Yes.
You always want to have a copy of your passport with you when you travel.
And remind me with the passport, isn't it it has to be, it's not, if I see that, okay, my passport's good right now and it's good till the end of the trip, isn't there a lot of countries, don't they have a rule that it has to actually be good for like the next 6 months, or
Correct.
what is the rule?
Yes, it's 6 months from the time your trip ends.
Okay.
It should be valid.
Yeah, guys, so that's a good one to remember. Your passport, if my trip ends on August the 15th and my passport expires on September the 15th of that year, I'm not getting into that country, even though it covers the time frame, because I guess they look at it that theoretically I might decide to stay longer, right? So remember that, guys, that passport needs to be valid for 6 months past the time that you are planning on being in that country. What are some other things, maybe like weather, seasons,
Correct.
some other kind of rules of thumb when we're planning big international trips?
I always ask my clients, where do you want to go? And when do you want to go? And how long do you want to go for?
Right.
Because season can affect pricing and crowds. So I always try and get as much detail
Oh
for
yeah.
their trip as possible so that we can curate the best experience for them.
So, for example, I would imagine, and I mean, most of us know this, but some people don't. People need to know that if you're going to the Southern Hemisphere, their seasons are reversed,
Right.
right? So you
Right.
might not want to show up in Australia in the January
Right.
because it's like August in Texas, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Very hot.
yeah, guys. So we need to pay attention, to the seasons, what part of the world we're in, that sort of thing. And then also, yeah, like you were saying, I know, for example, there are some European destinations that are super popular in the summer because the weather's good in Europe in the summer. But I've had friends who have gone to places like Rome or Spain in the middle of the summer, and they're like, well, it was nice, but it was so crowded, it was almost
Mhm.
not even worth it. I wish I had gone a different time of year.
Right.
What's kind of your experience
My
with that?
experience and what I ask people and recommend is travel in the shoulder seasons, which is before spring break and Easter, and then after the kids go back to school.
Yeah.
If you are looking for nicer weather, a little bit better pricing,
Yes.
also you can find that,
And
and
the
it's
crowd's not as crazy.
not as crazy. Holidays are very busy in Europe because of the Christmas markets over there.
Oh yeah. So a lot of my clients and probably a lot of the people watching, their kids are out of the house. So you guys are able to do that, right? You guys can plan around the basically the school breaks, right? That's when it gets nuts. And I'm still a little bit in that phase of life where I have teenagers, so we still have to travel during the crazy times, and we just have to put up with it. But it's entered my head that that will be nice one day to avoid those crazy times in the big crowd. So that makes a lot of sense. What about safety? So particularly if we're going to travel international, it when it comes to safety, what are some resources that you guys look at to determine if a certain city or a certain country is safe? Is it the U.S. State Department website or?
Yes. I always advise my clients, especially if they're traveling to somewhere that's off the beaten path, to check the State Department advisory,
Okay,
because there are different levels of travel advisories out there,
yeah,
and some are do not travel at all.
oh yeah, and so that's going to be probably as Americans, that's probably our best source rather than doing our own research.
Right.
The State Department does a pretty good job staying on top of
Mhm.
that.
Yes.
And some of these places, I would imagine, it can change rapidly, right? There's some parts of the world that are not very stable, and maybe it's like 3 months ago they were safe to travel to, but right now there's something going on where it's not,
Right.
right? So
Right.
definitely want to stay on top of that. Give us an example of or multiple of your experience of when a having a travel agent has made a big difference for somebody. What are some examples of that?
The biggest example is, say you have a trip planned and there's an illness and you have to cancel your trip. Hopefully you have travel insurance, which I recommend all of my clients have,
Okay,
because anything can happen at any given time, and you do not want to be without that, especially if you're in a foreign country.
right.
And as a travel agent, we help the client walk through the process of filing their claim
Oh yeah,
and being able to contact the cruise line or the vendor to
yeah.
let them know if there's been an accident or an illness and they won't be able to travel. So just having our experience and our
Oh
contacts
yeah.
with that takes a little bit of the stress off the client.
And I will say, so one time a few years ago, we had to cancel a trip due to an illness. And it we did have insurance. We did not have a travel agent. My wife actually dealt with the insurance end of it, because I'm real busy here. And it was not easy.
Mhm.
And so our experience with that, guys, was the insurance companies weren't just falling over themselves to write us a check. They kind of ran my wife through the ringer. So I can see how having an experienced travel agent actually help you with that
Mhm.
process if you need to go through it. I can see how that's a big benefit
It
because
is.
I know it was very frustrating for my wife, and we got it to the finish line because she's a persistent person, but I could see maybe how some less persistent people might just kind of throw in the towel and say, this is too much. So
Right.
that's a great point. Tell us, are there some places that are kind of, we'll call it off the beaten path, that you know of, that does, as an American, it doesn't necessarily pop into our head as one of our first options of, oh, I want to go here or there. But are there some places that you know of through your experience that you would highly recommend, that's maybe not something that comes into your mind as an American to travel to?
I'm going to say the Philippines.
Okay.
Most people think of going to Thailand when they think of Southeast Asia. And I have to say, the Philippines has something extraordinary to offer.
Okay.
There are many islands there that you can visit. It's a fabulous diving destination if you scuba dive.
Okay.
It's very inexpensive. Once you're there, you can jump off and go to other countries as a base. So I
Oh
would say
yeah.
the Philippines, people don't think about it and don't realize the beauty that is in the Philippine Islands.
That's a great, I love that answer because that does not pop into my head immediately.
Mhm,
Even when I think of Asia, that's not
mhm.
necessarily the first place I think of going. And I will say, just to kind of give props to the Filipino people, I've heard that the people are just super nice too, and very hospitable. And I know the Filipino people I've met here in the U.S. are almost everybody's been really nice. So, and I've heard when you travel to the Philippines, just the way you get treated by the people is wonderful. So, Philippines guys,
Yes.
are there cruises that go to the Philippines?
Yes, there are cruises that go through Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, and we'll come back to cruises here in a minute because I know that's kind of a niche for you. What are some places that you would, and I know well, some places that you would not recommend, and I realize that some of this can be dependent on the like social political climate in the moment in that country, any given country, but just kind of like right now, give us maybe three places that you would not recommend going to.
Well, first of all, keep in mind that when you book travel, typically vendors and suppliers will not go to places that are on that geopolitical range of
Okay.
being unsafe. They will not go there. The cruise lines will not go, for example, to Haiti, to their private island in the north end of Haiti. They will avoid that because of the political
Yeah.
unrest there. So the vendors that we partner with
Right.
all over the world are very aware of the political and
Violence
safety,
and yeah.
violence, and they will not book trips there. So
Okay.
we work with them very closely to ensure that. And I spend a lot of time speaking to my customers about where they want to go and why they want to go.
That's great. And so, let me ask you this. This is just a personal question because, and I think I've told you this before, but my wife and I, a big interest point of ours is one day to go to Jerusalem, to Israel, the Holy Land, right? That's, I think, kind of common for people of the different Abrahamic religions is, we want to go to the Holy Land. I know that obviously there was just a big conflict there. The conflict now seems to be over, although of course that's a region of the world where unfortunately there's always the tensions are always kind of bubbling beneath the surface. What if I called you tomorrow and said, hey, I want you to book a trip for me to Israel or Jerusalem? What would you tell me right now about that?
I would probably advise you to wait a little bit.
Okay.
There are trips that go there, but it changes literally on a weekly
Oh
basis
yeah.
because of the climate.
Yes.
And we want our clients to be safe. And even if you were to go on an independent trip without a tour provider or anything like
Yeah.
that, I would probably advise you to just wait a little bit
Okay.
on that till things calm down.
And if I were stubborn and said no, I want to book it and I want to book it for March, you would probably say, well, you better get traveler insurance in case
Right.
a war erupts and violence. And okay, yeah, good point. Okay, let's talk a little bit about cruises. So I know, with you working for Expedia, it you can book anything, just to be clear, right?
Yes,
You
yes.
just whatever somebody wants to do, you can help with that. But Expedia does have a very special niche with the cruise lines. Is that correct?
Yes, it
And
is.
I have a lot of clients. I mean, I frequently sit in my conference room with my jaw on the floor, hearing about these cruises my clients are just went on or about to go on. I mean, it's just I have so many clients that are really into going on cruises. So that's a popular thing, particularly I think with the retired crowd,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The empty nester crowd. But tell us a little bit about what you guys can offer with through Expedia and scheduling cruises.
Well, Expedia offers buying power with the cruise lines. So the further out you can plan your travel, the better deal you can get. We also offer one key rewards points with Expedia, which means if you have a registered email with Expedia.com and you book travel with us, you will be able to take advantage of those one key travel points, which is cash towards another trip
Nice.
on the website. And we also offer great incentives with the group space, which Expedia only offers because we offer increased onboard credit, for example.
Okay.
Increased onboard credit we can do with that. And we have just the ability to get you the best pricing
Yeah.
for your cruise because of our buying power.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And tell us, I know that you guys we're talking before this a little bit, and you were saying that you guys do have a Black Friday sale the day after Thanksgiving. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
our Black Friday sale is coming up very soon, and it goes through a little couple weeks in December. And we will be offering a lot of deals on great cruises going into 2026, 27, and 28. We're booking that far
Awesome.
out right now.
Okay.
So plan ahead for your travel.
Yeah, guys. So the point of this is don't log on to the internet or don't call Sherri that day and start trying to figure that out. Do that now if you want to take advantage of that. If it, by the time we're done here at the end, we're going to give you Sherri's contact info, but you could reach out to Sherri now, this week, next week, and start figuring out what you want to do. So that way on Black Friday, it can get booked and you guys can take advantage of that. With cruises, and I'm kind of fascinated by them because I have clients who've just done them all over the place. Tell us, I think here in the US, obviously going to the Caribbean is popular. We all know that's easy and that's all over the place. Alaska cruises are also pretty popular here for US residents. Tell us about, like, you mentioned Asia, but give us maybe two regions of the world where maybe a lot of Americans don't really go cruising, where maybe they should start thinking about. What are some destinations?
The bucket list destination right now seems to be Antarctica.
Antarctica, yeah, I've heard about
Expedition
that.
cruising is taken off.
Okay.
It-
And
People really are interested in going to the Arctic regions, Greenland,
yeah,
Iceland, and also to Antarctica.
okay. So let's talk about that. When we go on a cruise to Antarctica, where does that leave from if we're in the US?
You would fly to Buenos
Oh,
Aires,
you fly to Buenos Aires.
and
Okay.
then they provide a charter flight from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia, which is called the end of the world, the southernmost tip
Is
of
that on
Argentina.
the southernmost tip of Argentina? Okay.
And you pick up the ship there, and
Okay.
then you can do several itineraries, including the Falkland Islands,
Oh
South
yeah.
Georgia Island, and the
Okay.
Antarctic Peninsula.
Okay. And so, is that something that we want to do during our winter, their summer, right?
Right. It
So,
is seasonal.
so
It
you
is
want to do that like
seasonal.
January, February would be
It
best.
goes from November to February.
November to February.
February,
Okay.
and they're small ships that can get in there, and they limit the number of ships that can go to Antarctica. So if you're on a ship that has 500 passengers, you will do what we call a drive-by. You will
Okay.
not be able to set foot off the ship.
Okay.
If you're on a ship that has 300 passengers, you
Yeah.
get one shore excursion per day.
Okay.
And then ships with up to 200 can have 2 shore landings per day.
Okay. And guys, what she just said, these are the kind of things that me or you, we'd have to do a lot of research to even know that, right? And to figure out which cruise lines those are. So I think that really just kind of exemplifies how helpful a travel agent can be, right? Because you guys know so many things that we don't that can be very helpful. Um, let's talk about 8 cruises in Asia. What are like where typically would you fly to get on an Asian cruise? And what are some popular or good
Itineraries.
good destinations in Asia for
Some
cruising?
great destinations to start with are Hong Kong and Singapore,
Okay.
because they typically tend to hit Hong Kong, which is a fabulous little place to visit. And then you go down to Vietnam and Thailand.
Okay.
So it covers a couple ports in each country.
That's so
It can
cool.
also go down into Malaysia, which is
Okay.
also a beautiful part of the world, and Singapore. And I have clients that are starting in Singapore and they're ending up in Bangkok.
And so with when you go to a cruise in another part of the world, you're obviously in a completely different language, different culture, very foreign to us. Are most of the cruise ships going to have guided tours when you get
Yes.
off? So you're not just like, oh, I'm off here in Vietnam. What do I do now? You're actually going to have a guided tour.
Right.
Okay.
And part of the advantage of working with a travel agent is that we can help steer you to tours,
Okay.
places that are really interesting. A lot of times the cruise lines are sold out.
Oh
Those
yeah.
tours get sold out. So you think we don't have anywhere to go. But I can provide partners that we work with that provide wonderful tours, smaller groups, and better pricing.
Okay. Um, and so let me ask you this, and this is something that this I don't know might be a curveball for you a little bit, but I have come to learn in the last 2 years that actually internationally the Fort Worth stockyards have become a big destination. Or like, and I've heard there's like 15 to 16 million people a year coming through the stockyards.
Yes.
Um, do you with Expedia, do you guys are international, right? So you're
Yes.
also booking trips for people in other countries who may come to the US, right?
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that and what's our local appeal? What's your understanding of the local appeal of Fort Worth, Texas? Why do we have, and I've heard specifically that in the spring, our spring, which is fall in Australia, I've heard a lot of Australians come through the stockyards. What's kind of your understanding of this phenomenon with Fort Worth right now?
People really love the Texas because of the cowboy. The cowboy. We're known for the
Yeah,
cowboy image. And
right.
so it really is fascinating to our European
Okay.
friends that enjoy coming over and they want to learn about our culture here in Texas and what that looks like and
Okay.
the longhorns that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
going parading down the street in the stockyards. It's
So
a big draw. It's a
sort of
big
the
draw.
Western appeal that maybe like,
Mhm.
I grew up in this region, my family's from this region. So to me, it's just like, well, this is kind of our history, but I guess to people from other countries, it's just something exotic,
It is
right?
exotic.
So, and I actually, I've actually been in the stockyards a few times in recent years. I've talked to people who work there, like at a restaurant or at a hotel. And they're telling me it's just people from all over the world,
Yes.
and I actually went into one restaurant in the stockyards. It was one of Tim Love's restaurants. And they put up currency, like anybody who walks in there from another country that has a piece of currency they're willing to give them, they put it on the wall. And there was just currency from all over the world. It shocked me. I didn't know that Fort Worth was that popular, but we are a destination as
We are.
well, guys.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about right now. What are you seeing? And this isn't like your personal recommendation, but for 2026, what are you seeing as being popular right now with the people that you're helping service? What are some popular destinations?
Europe is always popular, and
Yeah.
river cruising has become a real
Oh
popular
yeah.
thing now with folks, and it's booming over there during season. It's very, very popular. Lots of ships on all the rivers
Okay.
throughout Europe. So that is really looking good for the
Okay.
for
So
2026.
European river cruises. And
Yes.
I've never done one of those. It like I see pamphlets and it kind of looks like it's for older people. And I'm now becoming an older person. Okay. I'm 51, so I'm now becoming I got gray hair, but I still have kids at home. But the European river cruises, does that seem to be more for the empty nester type crowd? Would you like the 55 plus type crowd? Is that
We see all ages on river
okay?
cruises because it's destination intensive.
Right.
So you pull right up into the town and you walk off the ship and there you are.
Okay.
It's fabulous for the immersive experience that it offers, and we see that with all ages.
Okay. And so I've never been on one. I really want to go. And one thing though that strikes me about it that seems pretty neat is you're going to see some landscape that you'll not see any other way, right?
Right,
If
right.
if you're in Germany and you're taking trains, you're going to see what you see from the train, but from a boat, you're going to see something completely different, right?
Yes.
And with those river cruises, what are you seeing as maybe like the more popular is it the Danube or what's the Rhine or
The Danube and the Rhine offer the greatest views of castles in history.
okay.
And the 2 week Grand European, which covers both those rivers and ends up in Amsterdam, is really, really the bucket list trip that you want to do if you have the time to see everything, because it leaves from Budapest
Oh
and
yeah.
ends in Amsterdam. And that gives you just a great overview. You hit Austria and Germany, lots of different countries through there.
And most of these river cruise ships, do they also have guided tours? Like when you get
Yes.
off the boat, you have a guide to
Yes,
help you
you have
navigate.
one excursion included in your cruise fare with many of the cruise lines.
Okay.
So they already have an itinerary planned for you
Okay.
and they take you through all the castles and all the
That's so
history and
awesome.
museums. And it's really a fabulous way to see Europe.
And with the river, well, let me ask you this with Europe. So as Americans, I think for many, many, many decades, we've been super focused on Western Europe. Um, I think Americans traveling to Eastern Europe, probably because it was part of the Soviet Union until 1991 or something like that, is not something we've done as much. And then it probably took a while for those countries to kind of, elevate themselves after, the Soviet Union. But I'm curious, are you seeing more Americans now interested in going to the Eastern European destinations.
Yes, we are. We're
Okay.
seeing a lot of travel to that region, and the
Yeah.
river cruising is also popular there as well.
Okay. Because that's something that's also of great interest to me. You know, I've done not everywhere in Western Europe, but I've done some places in Western Europe, and but I've recently developed kind of like Romania, for example. I've kind of been fascinated with that country. What are some of the countries in Eastern Europe that you're seeing are popular right now for Americans to travel to?
Well, Hungary and
Hungary.
Romania,
Okay.
Croatia is
Oh yeah,
also
Croatia's big.
very, very popular right now.
What about Prague, like Czech
Prague,
Republic?
Czech Republic,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard, I've never been to Prague. I have been to Budapest when I was a young man. This was the late 90s. And it was absolutely beautiful. But I've heard Prague is phenomenal. Is that
I'll be
correct?
traveling there, so I will let you know.
Okay,
I can't
awesome.
wait. I can't
Awesome.
wait.
Yeah, I've heard such good things about Prague and the Czech people I've met some here in the US. They've all been super nice. So that sounds great. Well, let me just ask you, well, okay, number one, how can people contact you, Sherri? What is the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way, I have a website. It's www.expediacruises/Sherri Terando. And my direct line is 714-882-9581. And that's my direct line. Our office number is 972-449-0707.
Okay, perfect. And guys, if any of you all, if you, I don't know, I think you can probably go back at some point and watch her say all that again and write it down. You can also call our office. We'll get Sherri's information before she leaves. And you can call our office and we can give you her information as well. I would do want to open it up to Q&A. I realize that's going to be limited to just you guys who are here right now. Obviously, we're going to have this all over Facebook and YouTube. If you do have any questions for Sherri about travel, please go ahead and type those in here in the next couple minutes, okay? But Sherri, just kind of give us sort of some closing thoughts on the next 2 years in travel. If somebody just called you and said, "Hey, I want to go," let's take this in two stages. If somebody said, "I want to go somewhere in the U.S., it's really unique, really cool, do something maybe I've never done before," what would you kind of propose to them as something that we could do here in the United States that's maybe not a real common thing to do?
It depends what their interests are, because there are a lot of things that we can
Okay.
do in the United States. You could do cooking classes in New Orleans, for example.
Mm.
You could go up into New
Oh
England
yeah.
and go there during lobster season and do Airbnbs down the
Okay.
coast and enjoy the trees on a nice driving trip.
So lobster season is in the autumn.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll say, as I here in DFW and my clientele, I mean, people are from all over the country, and but I'm a native Texan, and we have really we gravitate towards the Rocky Mountains to the exclusion of kind of the East Coast, and we don't spend some that much time in New England, but I've been there a couple times later in life, and it's awesome. New England's great. I've had great times there. What about internationally? If you were to make a recommendation for one destination that again is not sort of the a normal thing that, like, it's not, we're not going to talk Paris or London. Everybody does that, but what would be an international destination that you would recommend?
Well, right now, Lisbon, Portugal has
Oh
become
yeah.
very, very popular with people.
Okay.
They're really interested in going there and seeing that it's become very, very popular.
Yeah. And what
And
is it just I know it's probably the architecture's beautiful.
it's known for the weather is
Okay.
beautiful. It's very diverse in geography.
Are the people known to be pretty friendly towards
Yes,
tourists?
yeah.
Okay. That's always important. Okay, looks like we have a question here. I am considering a tuck cruise next June. Do you work with this vendor?
Yes, we do. We partner with Tauk, and I have
Sorry, Tao. I said
Tauk,
that wrong.
and I have clients that are currently going on Tauk cruises.
Okay, awesome. And
And their land tours. They do land tours as well.
do you all pretty much work with any cruise line?
We partner with all the cruise
Okay.
lines and also all the travel land package programs. We partner with rail packages. Also, people don't think about rail tours. That's also a very popular way to see Europe,
Oh yeah.
Asia, the United States, Canada.
Okay. Awesome. To what European countries do you need the extra visa? How far out should you get this?
Well, things are changing regarding that. Currently, we've been looking at possible, the ETA is for the UK. So if you go fly into England and to Heathrow, you'll need to get an ETA if you're going to be leaving the airport, going on a cruise out of Southampton, for example. There's also been talk about the Schengen countries, which you wouldn't need a visa, US passport, but now they're talking about implementing that. They've been putting it off now for a couple
What are the
years.
Schengen countries?
It's like Germany, France,
Got
Spain.
it. Okay. Wow. I never heard that term. I feel so dumb.
Yeah.
All right.
And that changes constantly. So we're always looking at those regions that you would need a
Yeah.
visa for.
So guys, I guess again, this is another example of why working for a travel agent can be wonderful is that there may have been some changes in the visa rules, you know, that we were not aware of. And we think, oh, it's the way it was when I went there 3 years ago, but now it's different. So we got to stay on top of those things.
It's constantly changing. And as soon as you book your trip, then we look at applying for the visa, say 30 days out.
Okay, perfect. Well, hey, thank you guys for your questions. We hope you got a really good value out of this. We want to encourage you to contact Sherri when you're planning your trips. Like I said, we'll put this out on social media. From there, it should be pretty easy to share with, you know, your friends and family, or if you would like a copy of this to forward to friends and family, let us know. We're happy to do that. But you guys have a good rest of your day. And Sherri, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And hey, I know a lot of my clients, you guys travel a lot. So happy travels while I'm still here burning the midnight oil. It's always awesome to hear about you guys, the trips you guys have going on. So you guys have fun out there. Okay. And happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.